Hi, my name's Leanne Shaw. I am a writer and an artist, and today we're going to do part 2 of making the Lapbook compendium thingy for book 3 of the Mordrecai Chronicles, A Sword for Wellington. So where we last left off, we were down to the final bits and pieces, and today we're going to work on the outside, the housing for the essay, which is the story that holds this whole thing together, and also just finish up the rest of the book. So you get to see a bit more of a tutorial-ish type thing, see what I'm doing, because you can actually see what I'm doing, because I tried a new camera angle. And yes, so let's just get started with that, shall we? Enjoy watching the rest of this making of the Lapbook for book 3 of the Mordrecai Chronicles, which is now free to read on projectstarfish.substack.com. So I'm making an envelope to go on the outside of the Lapbook compendium thingy, and I have cut it out from an old file folder that I found in my stash. And what you're going to do is see me here, like trim it down a little more, figure out how to make the flaps to seal the envelope, and I'm here scoring it to score those flaps. And then with those flaps folded, I am cutting corners off just so that it will kind of fold nice and neatly onto the inside. I don't think I'm making a flap on the bottom. Oh no, I am making a flap on the bottom. So again, I'm figuring out where exactly to score it. I'm doing some trimming just for one side of the folded envelope, because I wasn't quite clever enough to think about just doing a one-sided like fold thing. I made an entire envelope, as you do. So now I'm scoring that bottom flap. Oh, I'm cutting the common corner out. That would make sense. So again, reducing bulk by cutting out the corner there, folding, seeing if it all works, making sure it all closes up nicely. And this is me making a top flap to go on the top because the piece wasn't quite tall enough. So I'm just cutting that, measuring and cutting that. This is what happens when things go without a plan. Just doing some fine tuning so the envelope looks like an envelope and not like a piece of folded paper. And again, cutting corners so it makes it easier for it to slide in to place. It doesn't have like an awkward overlap on the back. And rounding the corners to make it look pretty. Again, trimming to make it look a bit nicer. And then redoing that corner. And I'm going to just do some inking around the edges just to make that stand out a bit when it's folded over. Give it a bit of a grunge look. And then doing the same with the envelope. Now I am cutting into the front part of the envelope to create a kind of indent for the envelope, so it's easier to what's the word? So it's easier to pull things out of. So there's like a little cutout that normally is created when you fold the envelope, but as I'm kind of like making this up as I go without a template, this is what happens. So you can see I'm inking around the edges of that. So it stands out a bit. Dirtying up the front as well to make it all look old, because I've done that to the cover. This is going to be glued to. Well, glue taped down to, actually, I think. And now, this is where I should have punched holes into everything a bit while it was still unglued, but did I? No. Instead I went straight on to use double-sided tape to glue things down and turn it into an envelope. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. And now the last part is sticking that flap onto the back of the envelope so it can be folded over the top of it and put into place. I'm using a crocodile to crop a hole into the envelope in the top flap and then in the bottom flap, and I didn't do such a great job of this. As you can see, I should have also sort of like loosely put this together, or put the back flap on first and folded it over before gluing down, because now you can see I'm trying to get the whole crocodile deep in, just so that it's deep enough for the second brad to go in for the tie closure that will be going on there. And those are the tie closures, and I've decided I'm going to dirty those up as well with some ink. They look pristine. And then once the ink is dried on that, I'm undoing the closure. I'm using ink. Here I'm using ink to try and dirty up the ribbon. I think I got more on my hands than I got on the actual ribbon itself, but I gave it a go. And then, because this was actually a sticker and not a proper brad closure, I went in with my crocodile hole punch and punched holes in for the brads to go through. So this is me again trying to get the hole for the envelope. Ay. Success! Finally. I think there are actually 2 holes there, but the tie closure covers up the other one, so it's not a big deal. And then putting that closure into place. The 2 closures ended up being too close together, so I have had to undo that top one, because I have more room to move there, and push a hole in further away. Again, this all gets covered up by the closure and the tape, so it's not that big of a deal. I just picked a spot as deep as it would go. And that's me putting tape on the inside, hiding the hole, and hiding the back of the brad. Okay, so I have put some tape down into the inside of the envelope to make it look like the inside of the envelope is decorated with this marble tape, which is from Tim Holtz, I believe. And then I'm taking some of that tape that I've chopped off and putting it behind the brad on the bottom part of the envelope, and that will stop any of the papers from catching on those 2 metal prongs that are back there. Also decided to edge that bottom flap with the same tape, just to give it a nice finished edge. And now I'm taking the essay and realizing that I'm going to have to fold it in an interesting way to get it to fit into the size envelope. So it's all very wrinkled from being tea dyed and then written on in quite a damp ink, actually. That brown khaki black ink is pretty wet. So I've now folded it so it will fit the height, and now for the width, and now I'm fitting it for the other end and just cleaning up those corners, making sure it's all nice and flatly folded. And then dirtying up those edges as well. And then this is the letter that came from the editor that he sent it off to. And it's just going to be tucked in the front of the essay. So you can imagine he's gotten this and he's kind of archived the whole thing. It's all his evidence that what he wrote about was indeed true, but nobody believes him because his primary source is a novel. And I'm taking the main cover, which is the central piece of the Lapbook thing, and picking out which side to stick this on, figuring out the placement thereof, giving it a little more of a dirty on the front of the envelope. It's been through some things. This is where the other closure went, because there was 2 in that sticker set, and that is holding in the Sword for Wellington book. And this is me trying to figure out the spines. Measure twice, people, not once. Because I didn't measure the second spine very well, and it shows that second, not this spine, but the next spine is just a little too big, unfortunately. So I've taken down the measurements for the height and the depth of the spine, the width, that one, and I'm doing the same here for the other. I think my mistake here was not all the letters were folded in place. Now I'm just looking at the spacing of putting the letters into the various slots, and so everything will fit without sticking out the top. And here I'm taking the other side of the Lapbook and stacking that cover on top of all the letters that are in place. And this is where I went off a bit. I should have flattened down this second cover a little more. I overestimated the width and things went a little off the rails here, but it's not too bad, I guess. Well, we have made some progress. First, I have added a few extra pages into Interviews with a Prophet, which means I'll be digging out that Lapbook again while I'm doing my, oh, look what I found in the attic. Over here, our Lapbook is together. I'll save the clip through for later, but you can enjoy looking at the outside. Rejected, restricted, erroneous. That is almost a song from Sid. And over here, it is still very much a hot mess. But I am about halfway through decorating Eidothea's diary. I feel like I've hit a wall, so I'm going to stop for the day. I should be able to finish, hopefully, Eidothea's diary tomorrow. And then I need to do some detailing inside this Lapbook yet. So that's tomorrow's task as well. So yeah, we're coming along. It's pretty exciting. I might be done by this weekend. That would be awesome, because then I can start figuring out when I'm going to launch this. So anyway, there we go. That is the scoop. Look how huge that Lapbook was for the second book. Massive. Yes, it was a little small, but the diary is going to be separate from that. So yes, my other mistake. I measured these. I measured too much for this one, actually. And then I forgot to add this to that, so they'd be the same. So it's a bit gappy, but that's okay. Not gappy, what's the word? Bit crocodile mouthy now, but that's all right. Anyway, so onward tomorrow. So I haven't been videoing because this is the view you get, basically, because I've got all this space and I'm working in a tiny corner like a goblin. I thought, though, that I would take a pause here and just show you what I'm doing. This is just PET tape over some stenciling. Like I stenciled all the way through this. And then this is PET tape and bits of PET tape here from a different roll. This is from this book, which is really cool. It's a little 1950s, but it's really cool. I've added some trees. I think they were from Sticky Club. And this is an image from Ink and Pages. And then this little backgroundy bit here is from a notebook from Sticky Club. So a whole bunch of different sources, and I just tried to pull that all together to sort of symbolize what happened in this chapter. You might be wondering what that is. Continue to wonder, because I'm not going to tell you. So I'm going to let this dry. It's a bit damp from all the glue I just added. I'm going to have some lunch, and then I'm going to come back and keep going. I haven't done anything on the Lapbook this morning. It's all been about this. We're probably running pretty close to the end now, so I could get this done today, which is kind of exciting. Well, the desk looks a little cleaner. Most of it's just shoved into the bower bag to sort out later. But I finished decorating the diary, and now I have to make a decision whether to keep the plain blue cover, which does have some embossing on it. Hopefully the camera's picking that up. Or do something a little schmancy. Do something a little schmancy with a quilted cover. But I kind of would rather just be done with it. I still have to do the wrapping for the diary, and I have that. I was going to use it for, excuse that. I was going to use it for Jasper's Grail Diary to wrap it in, but then it ended up in the Lapbook. So, for the last book. The last Lapbook, not the current one. So, I'm thinking I could just use this. It's a bit shiny. I don't like the shine. And I'd have to do a label. Basically, do it with a mailing label there. And the cover, because the Lapbook's done. I haven't wrapped it yet because I just wanted to sit overnight and have one last look and one last think before I actually go ahead and call it. So I'm thinking tomorrow is going to be a decision on the cover for the diary, and then cleaning up so I can film the, oh look what I've just found in the trunk in my attic. Good morning. It turns out that a murder of crows is quite accurate. There's a bunch of crows chasing around what I hope is another crow, but not one of our magpies. But anyway, here we are. She's done, except I need to put the cover on. I figured out this is the new width, so it doesn't go like this. Oh, maybe I should do it like that. So it stays nice and square as opposed to crocodiling, which is what the Lapbook is doing. It's crocodiling, but I have these two and kind of glued together to the right height for the new spine. But about there. I should get some tape on that. But I don't know how to attach it to the covers without losing the blue cover, which admittedly looks a bit ratty. But ratty is what we're going for, so that's about where I want it. Yeah, that's just X marks the spot. I think I have some black or grey tape and just cover the spine completely. No one will know, as they say in the meme. So we'll have to go for some smaller options. Excuse the shadow. Right, well, we could do something fun. Not loving it though, are you? And I have black cover space cover. Oh, that's not too bad. My other choice is this grey-green, but I don't think that works as well. So we might stick with the black. Oh yeah, right. Thank you, I've decided. thanks for watching. You can see me in character reveal this piece of, what do we call it? Reveal this Lapbook compendium thingy from the trunk that I found in my attic. And I'm going to do that in character of finding it. So you'll get to hear the story behind this. But it's get another researcher, a River Trembles is also a researcher. And so it'll be River Trembles, like River Trembles, it'll be a researcher, but this one hasn't gone so well. Actually, we're not sure the last one went so well because she kind of disappeared. But anyway, all that is to say, stay tuned for how that is all going to unfold. And then we will be launching into A Sword for Wellington serialized on projectstarfish.substack.com. I hope you will subscribe over there. This is one of my favorite stories I've been able to bring back to life from my previous career as a writer. And so I hope you will follow along, enjoy it. It's free to read, so pop on over and subscribe to that. And of course, subscribe here and like this video if you like this video, which was a dumb thing to say. Anyway, hope you're all doing well, and may you have a good day or evening.